presentations for each program. And after each coordinator is done introducing, we're going to have a Q&A. But it doesn't mean that you can only ask questions then. Please feel free to put your questions down in the chat box. And when we're in the Q&A, I am okay with reading them out loud and then asking the coordinators for you. So please, if you have any questions at any point, please feel free to put them down in the chat box. If you want to wait till the Q&A, feel free to do that as well. So let's get started. My name is Rahim, and welcome to our open house for MTM College. I want to quickly start by showing a video of our college that gives a good summary of our history. Let me present the correct screen real quick. I hope that it's visible. Okay, let's get into it. So this is MTM College. I hope that the video is not too choppy. This is when we were originally on Queen Street. MTM has 25 plus years of history. We were made by Maxine Shacker, who is an artist as well, and Tina, and they basically wanted to make a school for artists by artists. So we have a very rich history of industry professionals and actual artists teaching here because they're passionate about passing on their knowledge to the next generation. And after 25 years, 25 plus years, we've come very far. I would like to show another video which takes a look at our current campus. Let's get into it. And thus the video. Thank you, Serena, for that beautifully edited, beautifully filmed video. Let's get now to the main presentation portion of MTM and a quick look at our programs and who we are. So what makes MTM different from other places? Well, number one, we do have a focus on mentorship. Our class sizes are kept small on purpose because we believe that art is best taught within a tight-knit, intimate community. Art is not just simply just the mentoring part, but it's also the relationships, the people that are with you who help you out. For me, as an artist from a Pakistani background, art was seen as something that's not, it was not anything productive in my culture. Artists are usually seen as wastes of space, and people are very much not supportive. So when I came to MTM, when I was a student some years ago, I got a lot of support, and I found my artistic identity due to the help of the teachers that I built relationships with and friends I built relationships with. Because of the tight-knit community we had and how much support that I received, I finally started to appreciate myself as an artist. And that's how I truly got my growth. Growth as an artist is not just about the skill that you have, but it's also about your maturity, your emotional maturity, your safety, and your network of people who are there to support you. So that's what makes MTM different. It's the fact that while we have competition, it's healthy competition. students will spend a lot of their time supporting one another, taking care of one another, and helping one another. And that's what you need the most in the art industry, which also brings us to the industry connections and relevance. MTM is very well known in Toronto and even outside of Toronto in the US for our industry connections into various studios. A lot of our graduates go on to work in big projects, such as one of our graduates who worked as a series director on BoJack Horseman and then Tuca and Birdie. We have people who worked on projects such as Invincible for Amazon and The Boys. So that's why MTM has a lot of recognition in the industry. And because of those connections, we can also invite guests who talk to students and review their portfolio. We have a focus on both traditional and computer art skills. We don't just go one way. We believe that to have a great grip of computer and digital art, you also need a good fundamental skill base. You need to have good painting skills to learn good digital painting skills. You have to have good life drawing skills to make art in your style. And then we have instructors with art and industry experience. Our instructors aren't people who are just academics, who only know about art history. We have people who actively work in the industry as we speak, who might be currently at their studio job, or we have people who are the veterans of the industry who worked in places such as Marvel, DC for comics, or worked in Disney and Nelvana, or worked in huge game studios such as Ubisoft. So you will get a lot of perspectives that are fresh, and also the perspectives of those who are veterans who will teach you all the master level skills that you need to get employed in this industry. So we have our three main programs: concept art, illustration, and animation. To start off with, I would like to talk about the sequential arts and illustration program. Kent and Greg, would you like to take over?
Yes, of course. I think to begin, I want to just reiterate what you said, Raham, about first year, because first year is a place where we build those foundations in traditional skills, in life drawing, in perspective, in several different types of skills in painting. And I think I cannot stress it enough that the foundation of this school, and yes, down the road there is work, digital work and so on, but it's the traditional skills that we're going to build from the beginning in. And I think before we even get to the 2, 3, and 4-year programs, I want to stress that. I will say that in first year, we do have an intro to layout class, which is about teaching students how to do comic book pages. So we have started to build those skills as well, but we want strong traditional skills in first year.
Yeah, and the other thing to add about this program is that it's called illustration and storytelling for sequential art for a reason, which is because while the central spine of the program is learning a lot about comics, there's also a lot of foundational and professional illustration skills. We tend to use the way I tend to describe it to people is we use comics to also teach you how to do every other kind of illustration, because comics is one of those deceptively simple art forms. You know, the reason it's easy to read is because there's actually a lot of work that goes into a single page to make it function. And so generally, if you're learning how to do that, you're learning a ton of other applicable skills that apply to other areas of illustration. And what we do in this program is to try to leverage that in terms of both the comics content courses and the illustration courses to prepare people for a freelancing life, which they are free to customize for themselves, which is part of the beauty of being self-employed as a freelancer.
And I think that's a good point that Greg makes, because something that is important in a broad sort of strategic sense is each program has a different outcomes and so on that students and graduates may expect to achieve. And in this case, generally with sequential arts, you're going to be a freelancer. And if that's something that you find exciting, and if that's something you're someone who's easily motivates themselves really well and works well by themselves and wants to do your own personal projects, then that's the sequential program is what you should be thinking about.
Absolutely. Sorry, Kent, you were saying something?
No, that's okay. Is there a next slide, Ram?
Yeah, I was just going to, before going on to the next slide, I was going to say that, yes, I really put an emphasis on the fact that this program is about freelancing and doing your own thing. You will get the entrepreneurial skills that you need, learn about making contracts, learn about how to negotiate with clients, how to price your work. If that's the type of route that you want to go into, this comics and illustration program might be the one for you.
Yeah, so here we have several of our graduates. Paris has been extremely successful on graduation as a colorist. He's been an Eisner Award winner, and really has actually also taught for us. He's just so busy, we don't necessarily have his services as a teacher, but this is the kind of direction that you can take. Michelle Asarasakorn is another Eisner Award nominee and has worked with Marvel and DC Comics. And Selena Goulding, from our very first graduate group, has published a graphic novel from Random House. And I think we could multiply this by several, many people. I think Greg made the point that you can custom build your career. As an illustrator / comic book artist, or comic book artist / illustrator, and you can be your own boss and find the income streams that work for you. So it's demanding and it's difficult sometimes, but a freelance life is, and I've lived it. It's a very exciting life, and that's the kind of life you can have as a graduate from our program.
Yeah, and I would just add to that many people who come into that life don't actually get anyone to tell them how to do it. Like, I've met so many people, including myself, who just sort of fell into that kind of career and basically had to teach themselves how to do it. And that, having done the longer learning curve without mentorship, I'm very excited about now being part of a program where young people can actually get the mentorship and get, older people who've already been there saying, oh, don't forget to do this in your contracts. Oh, when you meet someone for the first time, don't forget to mention this. All the little things that make up the difference in the experience you end up having professionally.
Yeah, and I want to give Greg some credit here, because he has been instrumental in forming and formulating our fourth year, in which the freelancing and business of comics course is, and which is so crucial. And actually, to show you the kind of the outlook that we're giving students, our instructor gives them a year-long plan when they graduate of how they're going to approach the industry, where they're going to apply. I wish to goodness I had this when I was a student myself.
So yeah, this is all the stuff that we teach in the program. So on the comic side of things, in fourth year, you, as a kind of a final, I guess it's our equivalent of a thesis project, you get to work on your own graphic novel. And you get to see how the process of that works from start to finish, including the writing side of things, plotting and scripting, designing characters, the digital production of things, which I think is valuable both for freelance illustration and if you work in comics, because some people also do self-publish and do the crowdfunding route, and for that you need to know how printing works, and also the idea of how to create pitch packages and get published. And like Kent was just saying, we have an entire course that's just devoted to freelancing and self-promotion. All the stuff that artists hate to think about, we make you think about it in class and give you the practice of practicing some of these things in a safe environment, where it's just you and the other students and the teacher. Um, and then there's just a number of in-depth courses devoted to both illustration and, of course, just basic drawing fundamentals, which is a huge, huge focus of our school. I think it's one of the things that's really setting us apart from some other schools that have been, if anything, downsizing uh, drawing fundamentals of drawing over the years in favor of computer stuff. And of course, as I and many other teachers are fond of saying, until you know how to do it without the computer, you don't necessarily really know how to do it. It's a question of like, are you driving this computer, or is the computer driving you? So we go deep into all of that, as well as some graphic design skills that are complementary to your illustration and comics career. Kent, do you want to talk about that other stuff?
Well, yeah, I do want to go to one simple short line on this graphic: comics, composition, penciling, inking, and lettering. So if we begin in year one with intro to layout, go into second year with Greg's visual storytelling, comic book layout and composition, Dave Ross's penciling course, the scripting course, all of these things are building on each other. They're building in a line in terms of doing the creation of comics pages, but all the other things that go into it. And so that's something we've worked, I think, really hard to do, is make sure that everything we do is part of a whole that leads to something else, that leads to a new skill. And I think that one simple line there is very, very powerful that way. Greg has done a wonderful job of adding the other things. I mean, if we talk about the graphic novel, then all of these skills through 3 years is taken to the graphic novel and put into play. And we have a very well-rounded artist who can create a proposal for the industry, but is also a wonderful illustrator as well. And I think that building of different courses and interrelated courses is really crucial to what we do.
Yeah, and one of the things that sorry, Raham, I think you were about to say something.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add that, like one of the things that comes up in this program is the fact that we don't have elective courses like some other colleges. Like everything is basically a set package, and that's because we're very clear on like these are the things you need to know how to do. And many of our courses build off of the other courses. Like, you can't take this course until you've completed that course. So it's very, if anyone's used to like the high school system where, the purpose of taking calculus is to never think about it again. That's not how it's going to work here. Every single course is going to feed off of or build off of the other courses you've already taken, or even some you're taking at the same time. It's very synergistic, because what we're really building is a larger meta skill that is made up of all of these smaller skills, so that we break them up into little silos so we can teach them to you. But ultimately, you're going to be doing all this stuff all the time simultaneously as part of your job.
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing to add also is that it says in one line that it's taught by industry veterans and also people who are currently in the industry. A lot of our instructors in the sequential arts program, such as Kent, Greg, and Dave Ross, are people who are not only veterans but also currently working in the industry as comic artists. Greg is one of the pioneers of Canadian self-publishing. Kent has worked on a number of amazing IPs such as Planet of the Apes, and he's worked on a lot of board game IPs as well. And Dave has worked. Dave has his own textbook on figure drawing published by Random House, and used to work in Marvel and DC, and currently is working on self-publishing. Alongside them, we also have a lot of artists who focus on webcomic publishing, such as our instructor Megan Carter, who teaches webcomics and also freelancing and how to do Kickstarter and raise funds and how to write contracts, and Megan Kearney, who's is pretty well-established children's book author. So you will be getting perspectives on art from people who are currently working and doing the job, so that they can help you to make a portfolio that will get you employed or will get you freelance work.
Yeah, so again, there's our structure, our actual structure, and you can see year one is very much about learning basic skills. in life drawing, and I'll say this again, or not again, but for the first time, life drawing is sort of the foundational course of the entire school. It's so important to have this in your toolbox, and it informs everything else that you do. So we'll see this in year 2 and 3 and forward. We've already talked about perspective, some layout. Principles of drawing is about basic drawing skills, and design and composition is about basic design skills. So you are getting a comprehensive set of courses that give you a foundation to go forward. But again, I'll stress how important life drawing is in that set.
Yeah, no, I agree, Kent. And it's funny, like every now and then we'll get a student that asks, is it a little bit redundant that I'm doing life drawing and I'm also taking anatomy and I'm also taking constructive figure drawing, but all of these are different tool sets, right? And of course, in your career as any kind of illustrator, comics or otherwise, you're never not going to be drawing people. Like there might be once in a blue moon someone who's just like, no, I'm going to build my entire career just drawing cars, man, just drawing cars. But that's not really that likely, right? You're going to have to know people inside and out. So that's one of the reasons why we have that big emphasis on it.
And then when we head into the second year with artistic anatomy, drawing hands and feet, and life drawing, you're further, enhancing your skills with the human body. But now we're going to introduce you to computer coloring, scripting, inking, and penciling. And now you, as I like to say on my tours, now you get to do it. You're going to be doing illustrations, pages, and so on. On the one hand, enhancing all your basic skills again, but now specific skills to enable you to create illustrations and comic book pages. And then when we take it into year 3, now we get the specialty courses. Now we don't lose those other things. We have advanced inking, advanced penciling. We are introducing animal drawing and illustration for children's books. And I always enjoy talking about this one because the things that the students do are wonderful. And it's something that we talk about often. We want students to work out of their comfort zone. And I can't think of how many children's books, beautiful ones, were created by students whose comfort zone was not that sort of thing. And they discovered a new aspect of their artistic personality by working in that course.
Yeah, and then when we get to 4th year, we basically have a primary focus on the graphic novel project. There are still some other courses that you are taking at that time where you're still sort of learning about extra things. Like that's when we have the freelancing and self-promotion, we have portfolio, we have a few additional career skills that we look at, like storyboarding. Or even motion comics, but the primary focus is on getting people ready for the push out the door, basically, to be professionals, and getting people to the point where they're feeling confident and ready to handle that.
And I might even say that we and Greg and Megan Carter and myself to a lesser degree are part of this. We don't really want to push people out the door. We want to hold their hands as they walk out the door, and knowing that they have the skills to be ready to tackle that big world out there.
Yeah, no, I joke about pushing people out of the nest, but that is what we do. Yes.
Yeah. And here's a list of companies that our students have been published by. And these are very impressive credits, and they should be noted that way. But I can think of all sorts of other projects that students have done that are also equally impressive. And I think of a graduate who has done murals for the city of Toronto that are absolutely wonderful. And that's an example of the broad spread of things our students can do when they graduate.
Yeah. And then, I'm mindful of like a conversation I had with someone recently about, the difference between people who have rigid life plans and people who are flexible enough to adapt to the opportunities that come at them. because you never know what opportunities you're going to get as opposed to the ones you were planning in your head. So that's like another reason why I think we try to give people as comprehensive a toolkit as possible. Because every now and then you'll get a student who says, "Well, why do I need to do this when I'm planning to do that when I leave?"
Yeah.
And I always have to say, well, don't close yourself off. Every one of these is a revenue stream, even if that main thing is okay. That's the number one thing you want to do, but you can still do other things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes this specific program very special. It's though we teach illustration and comics, career paths are not limited for you. Like Kent mentioned, we have a graduate who's currently doing murals for the city of Toronto. I graduated from the program, but I've been working in video games in character design for video games. I've also done a number of client work for uh, various celebrities back home, which have nothing to do with comics, but because of how flexible the skill set taught in this program is, you can apply it in whichever way you like it. Over here, you will see a showcase of artwork from some of our graduates, and then you will see that they're all different styles, because at MTM, we do not want you to change your style and change who you are. Rather, we're here to help you enhance your style and get better and grow, and that applies to all programs. Well, thank you, Kent and Greg, for a quick look at the sequential arts program. Do you guys have anything else to add
No,
to that?
thank you for having. Thank you very much, and I don't have anything else to add.
Give me 1 second, please. Looks like there's some errors with the slideshow. Okay, corrected. Scott, last time I believe you had your own presentation. Would you like to do that one again, or would you like to follow this one?
We can what we can do, I guess, because Alan apparently isn't here, Robin isn't here. Sorry, my name is Scott Cameron. I'm a co-coordinator along with Alan Howell for concept art. I've just been made that. Robin Lau has been the concept coordinator along with Alan for a while as well. She's just very busy out in LA working. She was a former student. She was in my first year. She was in Kent's first year. And she's been working in the concept art industry for 10 years now. And now she's coming back to teach and oversee. But because she's working out west, she can only do some online stuff right at the moment. But I wish she was here because she could talk about the program. My history is not concept art, but after this, if you want to, like, if I can really get into self-indulgent stuff and show you some of my stuff, it doesn't matter that I'm not from concept art because my history is illustration. What matters in any of this is the knowledge and skill sets that you have that are applicable across the board for anything. If you can draw, like Greg said, if you can draw the human, if you can render, then you can go into anything. We have a former SA student who graduated last year, Donna Johnson. She graduated from that illustration program. What she's focusing on right now is background painting because she is a terrific painter. And so as long as you are highly skilled, those are the things that will keep you employed because the landscape is changing out there. And what will keep people, creative artists, employed is their ability to create, because AI programs and stuff like that, they can't create. All they can do is morph stolen images together. It's all they can do. They're a collage machine. Actually creating imagery, that comes from actual human beings. And once you are out there, what will give you that edge is your high knowledge and skill level. And so just being able to understand how to draw, compose, composition, perspective, rendering, those skills are applicable across any field. And so, yeah, if you want to start the slide, bro, what concept art, again, is initially about is training artists to work in the video game field and possibly, the storyboard field for animation and film production, things like that. But like I was just saying, that is still a narrow niche for someone who is just multi-skilled and can do anything. So the programs we have are for feature design, environment design, which is interior, exterior, character design, 3D rendering, those kind of things. But what is underneath any of that is your skill, your knowledge and skill of design and rendering and things like that. And those are, like we've said, those are the fundamental things that we really focus on in this school. And we are tweaking our curriculum even stronger to make sure that that is as maximized as we can, so that our graduating students are more skilled than the graduating students from Sheridan or Seneca or any place like that. And we already know we are giving some programs already that those places aren't teaching. We get former students from OCAD and Sheridan, and they come into my design comp class in their first year, and they go, "Oh, we weren't getting that there." And I go, "Yeah, I know. They don't teach this stuff." I was a graduate of OCAD when it was OCA back in the 80s, and they never taught us composition. I had to learn, like Greg said, there are things you have to train yourself in after you graduate and things like that. And we're trying to give you the benefit of our years of working in education so that you don't have to go through that stuff that we went through. We're giving you that right in your formal years, so you can run with that when you graduate. So
Yeah, what really gives this program the edge over other similar concept art programs, like you said, Scott, is the fact that you have a combination of people who were veterans of the industry, who are bringing in stuff they were never taught, and they know that it's still not being taught, like such in-depth courses on composition, and also people such as Robin, who are currently working, who can not only focus on the artistic side of it, but also on the career side of it, because they know what a portfolio needs, they know what the studio needs, they know what their supervisors need, and they know what hiring managers need. So Robin especially puts a lot of focus on in the fourth year that she teaches, to get students connected with industry professionals, get them their feedback, get them mock interviews, even if possible, to get them as working as assistants for artists who work in Ubisoft, for artists who work for games such as Apex Legends and Gears of War, and so that these students then graduate with those specific titles on their resume, so that finding a job is easier for them. So because of that combination of career-oriented approach plus the academic excellence and the artistic skills that are taught here, you really have an edge as a graduate of this program compared to other places.
yeah, and so Zabi and Denzel, yeah, all former students who gone on to work in the industry. I mean, Zabi was grabbed by Ubisoft in his third year, and I think in his fourth year he also did a bit of mentoring with them. But they were waiting for him to graduate in his fourth year, and then he went right into Ubisoft, and now he's working he's a director at another company and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we also have a number of graduates who won the Ubisoft Next Award. I believe we won the Ubisoft Next Award like 3 years in a row, which was wonderful. So Denzel and Sergi, they all won it.
Yeah, like I say, we go over character design, we go over all of the areas that, again, any video production, any video game production will focus on. Character design, creature design, props and objects, environments, all that kind of thing. And along with Alan and I and Robin especially, it's not just being able to draw the figure well and render well, it's storytelling. And again, it's another thing that AI might be able to make a character or a creature based on all the imagery it's stolen from actual artists who have made those things before. But in terms of storytelling, in terms of what you can put in your imagery, color-wise, shape design-wise, subtext, theme, visual motifs that help tell a certain story that you're trying to get across visually. We focus on that as well, because that is another huge aspect that isn't really talked about until you get into the actual industry. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was talking to one of our former students who was working at Ubisoft, and he said one of the directors, when they were starting this new project, one of the things he got everybody together, and one of the things he was talking about, beyond just making sure everything was designed well and everything harmonized and everything fit visually within the story, within the production they were making, was to make sure all of what they were doing was going to re-emphasize the story elements they were trying to get across. And that would go into the design of the characters, the design of the creatures, and things like that. So it isn't just to be able to make a nice picture. The storytelling aspect of it is a big area that we focus on as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you will get all the necessary skills that you need to also find jobs in other places in the industry if doing traditional illustration or character design isn't your thing. We have graduates who now currently work doing 3D modeling and texturing. We have people working as traditional fine oil painters, working as environment artists rather than character designers. So, or also working as digital matte painters. Our digital matte painting teacher, Daniel Saint-Amant, has worked on various large IPs such as Avengers. He's worked on Game of Thrones, and he's worked on a number of huge Hollywood productions. And currently, I know that he's working on a unannounced Star Wars film, and he took our students on a tour to the studio so that they could see the background production of this unannounced Star Wars film. I tried to get more out of them, but they couldn't tell me due to an NDA they had to sign. But that was a cool experience that they got to see because of the fact that our teachers do currently work right now. So you may also encounter that where your instructor takes you to tour these places, to tour these studios, to get more background knowledge on how everything works. And of course, finally, mentored portfolio and career development. This is something where Scott and Alan and Robin specialize in, which they're going to mentor you. I know they put a lot of time even outside of school to get people's portfolios ready, to get them to the adequate skills they need to make it into the industry or to make it as freelance artists. So, and they do that because of genuine love and passion for the students. This is, sometimes, especially in high school, when I was in high school, trying to get anything out of your teacher after school hours was impossible. But over here, they dedicate so much time and love and passion to the students and to get them to mature as artists that, it's an example of the type of intimate and close-knit community that we have. We try to help each other out. I don't even teach at the school, but I'm an artist. So students come and talk to me all the time. I work in the administration. They come to me for lessons because they know that I want to see them grow and get jobs as well. So we're all here to help each other out.
Yeah, I can't count the number of hours after classes that Alan and I have done on Discord and in classrooms and stuff like that, where we're going over somebody's work and telling them, what to tweak, what to adjust and stuff like that. God, it must be in the thousands now because of all the homework clubs that we've done on Discord over the years and things like that.
Well, and the whole reason we invented Homework Club was during the pandemic, so students would still have a way to chase us down in the virtual hallway and ask us questions.
Alan,
we're masochists that way. We had an out, but we didn't take it.
Yeah, Alan had one of his. He had a class last night or yesterday afternoon with CA2 concept art year 2 on online, and it was a 3-hour course. And then just like last Friday's course, it went another hour and a half after that because he was going over people's work with them and stuff like that. And the minute the class is over, we're not out the door. If anybody has anything they want us to check on or go over, we are there for our students.
I remember just this past week, classes ended 5, and I was doing some overtime, and I was there till 7 p.m. walking around, and I see that one of our concept art teachers, Giuseppe, is still in class working with students. I said, "Oh, all right, why are you guys still here? Isn't the classes are finished?" He's like, "Oh, they wanted me to spend some extra time looking at their work, so I just stayed back." That was completely out of his regular hours, but he stayed back because he loves helping them out. And a lot of instructors here will do that for you.
Yeah, we're all like that. Kent is the king of that. When we were at the older buildings, he would literally an hour and a half, 2 hours after his class and stuff like that, he'd still be talking to the SA students and stuff. So
You and Alan are the kings of that, Scott.
Program structure. So I'll go over. Do you want to go over the first year, Scott?
in first year, we have traditional painting. It's called representational painting. And if I could present my screen for a second, is that possible?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take away my. There you go.
Okay. And we, like I said, we are able to adjust our curriculum now to maximize what we are covering and what we're teaching. And before, the representational painting focused on a lot of still life stuff. And that was okay because Maxine came from a fine art background. I do too. I spent my last 2 years at OCA in the fine art department learning painting the figure and stuff like that. But it's in here. And this is the first year we've started this. And this was just a proposal to maximize our first year. There are certain, like every program has its courses. There are certain fundamental courses that, like I said, will help you have skills that are applicable across the board. And Dave's figure drawing is, to me, it's critical, it's essential. We have life drawing, we have models coming in and you draw that actual figure. But to understand the figure in this mannequin form is absolutely critical for an illustrator, because most of the time you're going to be drawing clothed figures, and that's where you also need to understand the mechanics of drapery and how folds work and stuff like that. And we need to have a course on that. But this Dave's course, which was always later on, you want to have this now be in your first term of your first year, because you want to be able to start with this really solid understanding of the human figure. Kent's perspective class. Kent teaches perspective beautifully. Everybody out of his course has a very solid grounding and understanding of perspective and how to construct environments, how to construct rooms, buildings, anything. Design comp. This is the fundamental devices for how images work and how you can make your images read and how you control them so that you make them read the way you want. And I teach that course. And representational painting, where before it was, I mean, the whole second term was just painting a full still life. And so people ended up with a nice, pretty picture of a still life, but it wasn't giving them this kind of information, which is structural, light and color, and how light works on basic forms, because everything that you are going to draw comes from a basic form. And if you understand the lighting on those forms, you can dream up anything you want and light it correctly without needing reference, without needing the thing there in front of you. That is a much more applicable and useful skill than just sitting down in front of a still life and copying what's in front of you. So we're adjusting our curriculum that way. And color theory, and that's a critical foundational area of knowledge as well that will help you go forward in doing anything. And I won't go into any of that stuff, but if I can, again, if you'll indulge me, because I said I'm not a concept artist, but because I can do all of that stuff, this is where concept art, I know people think it's a certain area of work and focus, but it is illustration. If you are a good, solid illustrator, you can do concept art because it's doing figures, it's doing creatures that might be based on animals, and it's doing environments and things like that. And that is all basic. Like any good illustrator should be able to do an environment, whether it's interior or exterior. They should know all kinds of lighting situations. They should know the figure. And so, again, I work in oil. This is just, this is the lower third of one of my paintings and stuff like that. And this is the full painting. And this is, I'm a painter, but that could be considered concept art. And I work in oil. I've worked my entire career in oil. But because they were going to teach a class in concept art, I started working digitally a few years ago, and this is my digital stuff. And that looks like, normal average concept art. But I'm not a concept artist, but I can do it in my sleep because I know how to draw and render. Something like this would be considered concept art. But you can do this, any of it, if you can draw and render, if you know structure and lighting and the human form and environments. I did this as a joke because there were certain tropes in concept art that were being used over and over and over again. Waterfalls, skulls, all this kind of stuff. It was becoming laughable. And then I did this. That's a concept environment. But I'm not a concept artist, but I can do this easily because I know all of those foundational knowledge and skills that allow you to do any of this. This is a student's boss character for a video game that they're making in 4th year. I took their creature design and I did a very quick little key art or splash art piece based on their drawing. I drew it, I composed it, and then rendered it. That would be a little bit of key art. But again, I'm not a concept artist, but if you can draw and paint, you can do it, all of it. This is something I drew for design and comp years ago just to show depth. But because I'm mentoring a student and she wanted to know color, light, and structure, I just very recently turned that into a digital piece of this. And if I was a concept artist that had a website and put that up, anyone would think that that's concept art. But again, I'm not a concept artist, but I can do that because of what I know about drawing and painting and all the basic foundational stuff. And this is what I mean. That painting by Rubens, it's a classic painting, but its compositional devices have been around for hundreds of years before him. They are still around. The concept art piece with the robots I did, it conforms subject matter wise, surface, completely different. But its compositional devices to make it read the way it's reading are all of the classical compositional devices that every good artist knows and uses because of what they can do for your imagery. And so that's what I mean about how important those fundamental skills are. Last year, I was going over another concept student's piece about how to show him make a certain thing stand out stronger by it's not about surface subject matter, it's about contrast. That's how images work. It's not the cool, fun subject matter that changes from image to image. How you make things read all comes down to contrast and placements and things like that. And so again, I was turning this into a color piece for this other student that I'm mentoring, and I turned that into this. Again, if I had a website, claiming I was a concept artist and I had stuff like that up on there, people would think I'm a concept artist, but I'm not. I'm an illustrator. But because I know how to do all of this stuff, concept art is easy. And one of the
Oh,
rooms,
Scott, I do want to mention, we are running out of time.
sorry, but I just wanted to make that point that Greg and Kent have made about how important it is that we focus at our school on those fundamentals, because you can go anywhere with that solid, strong knowledge and skill set.
Agreed. And us, I think one thing that Scott didn't mention is the fact that a lot of those early digital paintings were done using a mouse.
Oh, they
So,
still are.
oh, they still are. Scott is quite the painter. But yeah, so yeah, program structure, like Scott showcased, a lot of first year is just fundamental skills, and second year is further improvement upon those, and also introduction of character design, advanced anatomy skills, props and objects. Props and objects is taught by our instructor Bartol Randulich, who is a concept artist for a lot of Hollywood productions. Currently, he's working on The Boys as a concept artist and a prop designer. Third year, we have 3D modeling introduced, advanced character design skills, advanced life drawing skills. And then fourth year is exactly what Scott's doing right now. And with Alan and Robin, which is all about mentoring and making your portfolio come together, giving you career advice and career development skills, and basically getting you to a point where you can get hired by a studio or even do your own work if you wanted to. And one thing that I do want to mention is that you'll see that all the example artwork we've had in slide, they all have very unique styles and they're all from different people. So once again, I want to emphasize that MTM College doesn't tell you that you need to get rid of your style. We try to make your style work better for you. You know, it's going to grow naturally as you learn more about life drawing, as you learn more about painting. You're naturally going to make your own style develop and get to the next level. But we will never ask you to change your style and change who you are, because your individuality is what we want to celebrate.
But also it's why we want you to have that strong, very versatile skill set, because if there's a style that you like to work in, great. If a studio has a different style, but you're able to do that because of your skills, you show them you can do that stuff too, and there's a possibility you get hired there too. Again, we want you guys to be versatile, because that is going to be one of the keys to keeping you employed.
Absolutely. Our students get hired by a number of places. We have graduates who work in animation studios such as Pipeline, Chorus, Elliott Animation. And then we also have those who worked in video games, such as video game studios such as Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, Tencent, Epic Games. Robin herself has worked in both areas. She used to work for Chorus. She's working working at Amazon for Invincible right now. But before, she worked at Epic Games. She worked on Apex Legends as an illustrator. She still is. So, and she's one of many graduates who had that journey, who are currently working in many studios right now, who graduated from this program. Over here, I'd like to show some student sample work. And again, once again, you can see how varied everything is. Everyone has their own approach to concept art. These are different styles and different color aesthetics and everything. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of that. Thank you so much, Scott, for that.
I just wish Alan and Robin had been here, because they're more in the industry than I was.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the time difference and also how busy Robin is, I don't believe she could be here. But yeah, thank you so much for that, Scott. If anybody has any questions about the program, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and I will read it out at the end for Scott to answer, or for me to answer. The next program that we will talk about is animation. So last time, Josh and Steve, I remember that you guys had your own thing. Will you be following along with the slideshow here, or do you still have your own thing?
I'm just going to use the slideshow.
Okay, sounds good.
But Josh might have something he wants to show. I don't know.
Yeah, I have like a video reel of work, but definitely using the slideshow that you have is fine.
Okay, so let's start with a slideshow, and then we'll go into your video reel. Yeah, go ahead.
Steve, did you want to kick it off? Or?
Sure. So I'm Steve Millard. I'm the coordinator for animation year 1 and 2, and Josh is coordinator for year 3 and 4. And I feel like, we've spoke a lot about the traditional skills and how important it is. But one of the things that differentiates animation is that it's movement, it's life. It's not a still drawing, it's a series of drawings to create movement. So one of the things that we really focus on is with our drawing is also posing, acting, timing. So these are all things that are slightly different, but they all, the traditional skills are also important in terms of understanding volume in space and construction. Whether or not you're drawing traditionally or digitally, your characters still have to be solid, and you still have to be able to convey attitude and emotion. It's not just about making a singular drawing. Animation is about a series of images that convey something to the viewer in terms of an emotion or acting. So that's something that we really want to focus on with animation. We see the next slide, please. Oh, here's some of our grads. Aaron Long was one of our grads who went on to be the director for BoJack Horseman. Josh Hill has been, I think he was hired again when he was in 3rd year. He was working on Green Eggs and Ham for Netflix. So he's been very successful. He's been a supervising animator pretty much since he was hired at different studios.
One thing people loved about Josh is that he was super skilled at traditional 2D.
He was, yeah.
Like, because you're teaching a lot of 3D animation. He was fantastic at 2D, and that's one of the things that got him noticed and hired.
Yes, for sure. At one point, he debated whether to leave the program because, he didn't have a lot of interest in the 3D aspect. But I'm glad he decided to stay, and I think we helped to convince him that, with the way the industry is, you want a broad set of skills. So the industry has changed a lot from I worked actually with Scott, we worked at Disney Toronto back in the 90s. Everything was done on paper, and things have changed quite a bit. Now there's 2D digital, and Josh works with Toon Boom Harmony. So your characters are still drawn, but they're like puppets in a way, and they're rigged so you can move them, but there's still lots of drawing involved. But I did think that Josh made a good decision to stick around for the
Well, yeah, actually adding on to that, but Josh, as you mentioned, that he was thinking of leaving due to because he believed his 2D skills are enough. He actually recently, when I had a conversation with him, I found out that he was moving towards 3D. And he was very appreciative of the fact that he did stick around to do 3D because he was getting more jobs for 3D now. And so, yeah, that is one thing that we like to emphasize here is that no skill is wasted. All of these are important to have you stay in the industry and have you be very flexible as it changes and as it grows, so you grow with it.
Yes. And Kyle Harrison, of course, was one of our students, very successful. He actually came back to teach for a time. So let's see the next slide. So the things that we learn in, like the other programs, the first year is based on fundamentals. And then as we develop, we get a little bit more in-depth. You start to learn animation in this first year and second year, but it's exercise. It's the basics, and then we expand on that in the 3rd and 4th year, where you actually get into your own film production. So you produce your own film in 3rd year, and then there's a group film in the 4th year. The 3rd year film is based in 2D digital, so Toon Boom, and the 4th year film has been in 3D. Maya. And let's see the next. Yeah. And that just also expands on, year one, typically what we do. And a lot of these courses are similar. Principles of Drawing is our basic drawing course that all the programs have. But we do try to tailor the courses, especially the fundamental courses, a little bit towards the individual programs. What I might do in my drawing class or my animal drawing class, I might do a little bit differently for animation than I would do, say, for concept art. With animation, there's going to be more focus on movement. Year two, again, things just become a little bit, we try to build on the skills that were established in year one that lead up to, of course, year 3 and 4, which are more advanced. Yeah, so in year 3, really a lot of the courses deal with the production of the third year film, and year 4 is pretty much entirely film production, the group film. And here's some of the, some of the companies that hire our grads. And I would say there's more, but Yowza and Eldana. And we should also comment that it should be noted that our grads can also work. We've had people who went through animation, but because you get a broad skill set in terms of design, background drawing, it's not just the animation. Some of these people can actually work in other jobs, what might be considered a concept job. Someone might be a background painter. We've had people from Essay, the illustration program, go to work in animation as background artists, designing the imagery that's seen behind the characters. So we do get a lot of variety, and there's a lot of opportunity at the end for different employment. And here's some of our grads.
Here's a variety of work. You can see how everyone had their own style of working. And this actually takes us into one of our student films, third-year students film by Jordan Marshall, a graduate. It's a 2D digital film. Let's get that started. And following that, we have an example of a fourth year. Oh, next slide. Oh, there we go. Following that, we have an example of a fourth year graduate film, the type of which that you will possibly be doing also in your fourth year, which is made in collaboration with your classmates. And usually we have supervisors who work currently in the industry, such as supervisors for lighting and compositing in Jamfield or Guru and other places, who will be overseeing that production pipeline, so that they can emulate what a studio experience would look like for you, so that you're ready by the time you graduate to go directly into a studio. You'll know everything. And that is a look at Battleversary, one of our fourth year graduate films. At this point, I think I should stop sharing because I think you have something to show, Josh.
Yeah, I had a quick reel of some of the work
Sure.
over the years. So yeah, let me get this going. Share. Yeah, so Steve pretty much covered a lot of it. So I'll just kind of, there's no sound, so I'll just kind of talk over. So first year is definitely focusing a lot on just like hand-drawn animation, getting like the 12 principles and having the students just get a general introduction and feel to animation. So a lot of hand-drawn, but still fun, still giving the students creativity. And then in second year, we start getting into still practicing the 12 principles, but more character animation and introduction to like rigged, toon boom animation, puppeted animation, just getting overall acting, but still very simple assignments. And then we start leveling it up with the difficulty in the characters. Third year gets a little bit more advanced, also giving students actual animation tests and files from like Nickelodeon, Disney. And fourth year is all focused to 3D work. So focusing on working in Maya and just learning those 3D skills and mastering those. So yeah, so that's just a basic pretty much quick run through of just examples of works that the students are currently doing throughout the years.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Josh. Let me pull my presentation back up. So see, these are some of the comments that we've gotten over the years from industry professionals and also graduates. This is by Christine Huot, who is a hiring manager at Mainframe Studios. As a recruiter, I meet with graduates from all of the programs across Canada, and I have always found that the individuals I meet and hire from MTM are very prepared for the real world of animation production. MTM is always at the top of my list for campus recruitment. This is from Patrick Inglesby from Ubisoft. MTM as a school of art has a keen understanding about the level of skill that top entertainment outlets look for in creative talents. As an art director, I've personally been impressed with the quality of artists we have hired over the years who have graduated from MTM. And this is from Aaron Long, who again is who worked as a director on BoJack Horseman and was the series director for Tuca and Birdie. MTM gave me a well-rounded art education. I especially found that figure drawing, anatomy, and principles of drawing useful. We had some really great teachers, and I came away with a strong foundation of knowledge. Yeah, that is everything about MTM College, where careers begin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for that presentation. At this point, I would like to move on to our Q&A section. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box. If you would, at this point, like to talk about your question, please use the Google Meet to raise a hand, and then I'll call upon you. I know some people might be typing up their questions, so I'll give like 2-3 minutes to that. Charlotte has put down in the in-call chat ways that you can reach out to us. You can call us. You can email at admissions. You're also welcome to book an in-person visit to tour our campus at any time. So please feel free to reach out to us. Please also, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, keep in mind that our website is currently down for maintenance. It should be back up on Tuesday. So please, for now, for any contact information, you can find it in the chat box.
And Raham, are we still doing virtual info sessions for those people who are too far away to do a tour?
Yes, we offer virtual info sessions. Please contact admissions or please call us and we will book an info session for you where you will be able to sit down with any of the coordinators who are here today, ask them questions, maybe even show them your portfolio before you go into the actual portfolio review, and just get an idea of what their program is all about. Or you could also get a sit down with Serena or me, who are members of the administration. When is the due date for September class? So I will assume this is referring to the due date for application, Azade. When should all the applications be in by?
Rahim, as you know and as you mentioned, the classes are going to start at September the 9th. So applicants have until 1 month prior to complete their application process. It's in August. Yeah, it's preferred for them to complete the procedure by mid-August.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, by mid-August, it is preferred that you give your application in. And if you have any questions about how to get your portfolio ready, if you're unsure about the quality of work in your portfolio or anything like that, please feel free. Sorry about that. Please feel free to contact us, get in touch, book a meeting with any member of the staff so that you could get a preliminary look at your portfolio, so that we can give you some feedback before the actual portfolio review session. I'm always here for that. I'm always working with applicants to look over their portfolio before their actual portfolio review, to give them advice, feedback, give them any help they need. So please feel free to stay in touch regarding that.
Sorry, I just want to jump in. If you are international students, then you need to make your application earlier to give enough time to submit your application for study permit and the visa entry to Canada. So I just want to add that if you are an international student, then you need to make your application earlier, right? Because you need to apply for a study permit as well as entry visa. So that takes time. Okay, I just kind of add that comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, just to clarify, it was Azadi was talking about mid-August as being like the final point for the end of the application process. So obviously, you want to start the process of checking out the school, doing tours or info sessions, doing a portfolio application. You know, each of those stages is going to take a little bit of time. So you know, you don't want to do all of that in August. That should probably be self-explanatory, but I like to say it just in case.
Yeah, I recommend that you do a tour as soon as possible because we have classes going on right now, and you can get an actual look at how our classes run. You can see the experience. You can even run into the coordinators that we have here, the instructors, and talk to them personally. So if you are interested in booking a tour, I recommend that you do it as soon as possible within the semester, within this current semester, so that you can get an experience of student campus life.
Yes, I just wanted to add that when I mentioned mid-August, is the time that everything should be done and should be finished, and people are getting ready to attend the school. So, as Rahim and Greg and Charlotte said, it's better to start as soon as possible. But mid-August is the time that they should wrap up the process of getting ready to attend the school.
Please also keep in mind that we do have a class capacity. So once our cap is reached, it is tougher for us to take. So please, we have the time right now, so please apply as soon as possible. We'll be here to give you tours. We'll be here to take you through the process for portfolio reviews and everything. So please reach out to us. Any other questions? All right. I'll give one more minute for anybody who needs to type down a question. If there are no more questions, after that, we can basically call it a day. Once again, a reminder that please reach out to the contact information that Charlotte put in the messages, the number, the email, to book a tour, to get in touch with me. I will also put down my email, actually, if you have any questions for myself.
Something we might also want to mention, Raham, too, is just in case that presentation wasn't sufficient to clarify it for anyone. If anyone is looking at the college, but they're still not quite sure which program is for them, A tour or an info session is a really great way to shake that out, because like talking directly to a coordinator about your portfolio is one way to get a better sense of which program might be a better fit for you.
Absolutely. I have these conversations all the time with applicants where I sit down with them, either online or in person, where we just look over the portfolio and I give an advice on which program might be best for you. And also just look at the possibility for you getting in based on the present work that you give me. All right, so it's 11:26. If anybody has any questions after this meeting that you weren't able to ask now, please again feel free to reach out to any of the emails that we put here, any of the numbers. Please feel free to call them. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this event. Hopefully, it was very informative. And if you need to ask any more questions, please again contact us. Yeah, that will be all. Thanks everyone for coming, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you
Ralph.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.